The following may contain language which will be offensive to some people and inappropriate for children. Still here? Then pour your favorite beverage and let's get this fucking show started.
Fantastic. Assemble. You are watching Fantastic Forum, the premier show about comic books and your live weekly conversation about entertainment and geek culture. We are the Fantastic Forum, coming to you live and direct from the Hall of F. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, as the case may be, depending on where you are in the world. And if you're not, you should stick with us. We'll help you take it up a notch. You have the usual suspects in the building. First, he is our riddle inside of an enigma, trapped in Chinese finger cuffs. You don't know him. You love him anyway. He's our silent assassin, Jay.
Hey.
Next, he's the backbone, the pillar, the strength of Fantastic Forum. No, our non-votable brawler, our resident strongman, Moses Magnum.
What's up?
Yes. Ooh. Next, he's our intrepid senior reporter. He's next in line for the cowl. He's our resident Dark Knight detective. It's Oz. It's Oz. Unfortunately, Oz isn't in his chair at showtime. Terrible. Where is this guy?
He didn't read his own sign right there. It says on there live.
Right. So out here, look, everything's ready except him. Except look, you got, what are those buttons? Is that his friggin' soundboard?
Yeah. His
awesome.
It's a Roadcaster.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, look, it'd been nice if he could cast his backside into that seat. That's what I would like to see.
Look, let's not have too much fun at his expense because we don't know the circumstance. Like, he literally could have just been served like the summons or a subpoena or.
I mean, I guess you're right. Like, if you're saying Oz could have just gotten home invaded, yes, you're right. That could have happened too, right? It's like, damn it!
Like, oh shit! It's showtime.
This fool answered the door and got gored by an antelope. That can happen where he is.
Or like,
that
movie Funny Games, like these weird teenagers that want to torture people. Like, he could be in one of those movies right now, like Last House on the Left. You know?
Oh man, I feel like Oz would not last long in one of those.
I mean,
he might seem kind of interesting to me. That's why I haven't watched it, but I've heard a lot about it.
Which one? Last House on the Left?
Funny Games.
Oh yeah. It's not. It's very. It's like when you think about like torture porn, like how they call Saw or Hostel. It's like that one is actually more disturbing because a lot of it's not physical. It's more like they're just sadistic, and it's weird. You know, the guy actually remade the movie. He did it like in Denmark, and then he did it in America. He just did the exact same thing, and the way it's shot, it's creepy, and yeah, it's kind of as disturbing as like a Saw, but it's more the tension than everything. And the rape, but yeah, but the intention is pretty bad. The rape's pretty bad too, but the tension really gets to you. The rape kind of gets to you too, but the tension really just disturbs you.
Yeah,
and then the rape disturbs you too.
Ladies and gentlemen, Oz is here. Look,
right, we're running late. Let's go.
Oz, did you get gored by an antelope? That was what we're running on. We're thinking that that's probably what happened.
Tire Claw is half right.
Maybe Oz had a bathroom emergency.
I ran into the bathroom because I had a splinter, and when I was taking it out, I saw wood shavings, so I freaked out because if I get termites, this whole basement is gonna fall over. So I started looking, and there's a dead mouse somewhere above the restroom here in the basement.
The DJ?
Either way, got to get rid of it. Be having that infestation. Technically not an emergency because it's dead.
Yeah.
Right.
The smell just.
I mean, you don't want to leave dead bodies around.
Yeah, I learned that lesson.
Indeed. Yes.
What do you
Haven't
think
we
killed
all?
the mice?
I honestly, I think it's in the spot that it got trapped and didn't get out because the wood shavings were from it trying to chew its way out of on it chewed on like some wooden thing to look maybe try to get over it or something. I think it was trapped and got stuck and died a lonely death.
Poor mouse.
Okay. All right, cool.
I kill so many mice in this place. Like especially in the winter when they're all looking for someplace warm.
Oh wow! But it's not quite winter there yet, is it?
No,
No.
but it's been raining a lot. So
Oh, okay.
trying to find like a dry spot.
Okay. Okay, cool. By the way, my name is Lawrence Young. They call me Mira Young. Welcome to Fantastic Forum. We got a great show for you today because we are going to be talking to you all about Adventure Time, Fiona and Cake, and we're going to be talking to you all about Minor Threats. So we got 2 amazing reviews of 2 very interesting properties, and we'll tell you more about that in just a moment. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we thank Mr. Scott Rubin, because without him, the show would not exist. So thank you, Scott Rubin. Hope you're doing well, good sir. Also, we'll have our intern tell you how it is that you can get done with Fantastic Forum if you want to go ahead and let us know what it is that you want to talk about or have something to say to us. So take it away.
The action? Call Fantastic Forum on Skype and join the fun. Too shy to call in? That's okay. You can join the Discord chat room available at
fantasticforum.live.
Join the party. You know you want to.
Thank you, intern. Appreciate you. So yeah, fantasticforum.live, but actually the best way would be to go ahead and jump onto our YouTube. We'll take your comments directly out of the chat and bring them into the show, or jump on Twitch, do it that way. Either one works. Can you insert a witty chat comment for us, Jay?
Nope.
Hexzilla. Oh, wait, what?
Jay's back.
Oh yeah, but either way, that comment worked. Hexzilla says it was aliens.
Mexican aliens.
that abducted Oz.
No, that were dead and mummified in my bathroom.
Ancient aliens.
You don't watch the news. Not the Mexican news anyway.
It was on America.
About the huge group that just came into Texas.
No, what?
Well, technically,
No.
yes, just like 1,000 years ago, and then got mummified, and they found it.
Wait, what?
The Mexican, I think it was the government too, presented two mummified alien bodies that they found.
Oh yeah,
and they
Really?
X-rayed them, and they had eggs. They had 3 eggs in it.
I don't honestly like. I'm not buying any of this quote unquote alien news.
It's a little fake, but still, it was a story.
But it's not. Listen, there are things that are actually happening that I have to pay attention to. I don't pay attention to nonsense. It's nonsense.
Right, but that's why they're showing you aliens.
Yeah, listen. All the alien stories in this day and age are all distractions. So,
I just give them props for it not being in like an infrared camera or something, like they usually kind of. Yeah, I can watch.
How you're using practical effects trying to make it happen.
Right, like I watch somebody's like Ring camera, and it's like a whole cinematic experience. But the government shows UFO, and it's like grainy as fuck.
Right. You're absolutely right. What was? Do you see that video of that woman getting attacked by that bobcat in her driveway?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then her husband came and fought it off, grabbed it and tossed it. And I was like, damn. And you're right. That was a whole movie on a Ring camera. What
are the ads that she put out that night?
I hope high. I hope high. I feel like being rescued from a bobcat. You know, the like that's worth something, provided that it doesn't. It's not uncomfortable, obviously.
All right.
But
Well, remind me next time you come for a haircut. I'll have a bobcat there, and I'll save you.
listen, I promise you, I will fight my own bobcats. I promise you. Like you're poor. Like I feel bad for the shot. I'm like, damn, I didn't mean to put the bobcat through this window, Mo.
Larry's late, and I'm outside because I'm afraid of the bobcat, and he's scaring shit up inside.
Oh, geez, man. So okay, cool. Let me ask y'all something before we get started here today.
I'll put it back.
Oh,
He was gonna show you.
I thought we were moving on.
oh no, go ahead. Put it. Go ahead.
I can't find.
We got enough time.
I can't find like a really good image because it just looks like people took pictures of the news report screen.
These are the alien mummies.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, man.
And there's so many like memes, like people recreated them out of their tamales, like, and they're like, they'll just
one.
They open the tamale and it's like it's the alien made out of the just reconstituted masa
from the masa.
Yeah.
I actually would like to see that.
I found aliens too. You follow me on Facebook, you can see all that. I've been posting that all week.
Oh damn! I gotta go to your Facebook. Okay, I can do that. I could do that. Have any of you guys watched this this One Piece joint?
I've heard that it's amazing.
I love it. I'm a big fucking One Piece fan now.
And what I heard is that the reason it came out so good is because the creator retained like creative rights. So he was actually able to step in and make them like not change stuff or reshoot something because he didn't like it.
Like I think he wrote the first episode or directed the first episodes of the live action. And I I had never watched the cartoon, but it's definitely they toned down on like I heard they compress a lot of it, so it's like the first episode is like the first 8, but it flows well. And yeah, I watched in one day. I watched 6 episodes. Like I just stuck with it. Like I was like, I remember watching the first episode when it aired on Fox when I was a kid. But yeah, I was like 18, and the narration of the Pirate King saying, basically throwing the world into chaos. Like they actually filmed that live, and that was what the Netflix showed me, and I'm like, they didn't show that in the cartoon, but they're showing it here, and I'm like, and it looked good, like the design of all the people they show and they allude to coming in the future. It's like it looked good, like it didn't look corny. Like the cartoon, the people have their designs and it has its art style, so I don't even judge the way it looks art style wise because that's just what the cartoon looks like. It's the tone. But the transition from that to live action, they did an amazing job. Like even in the casting and the like the dude with the slingshot, he's a weird looking dude in the cartoon, and I know who that dude is. And then when I see the dude they got here, I'm like, that's that dude. Like they got a dude that looks like him in real life because he has a weird thing with his mouth because he's a black guy and it's Japanese people drawing black people. But they got a dude who actually has features like that with teeth like that, and it's not like they didn't have to put prosthetics on him. Like he just has a big toothy smile, and that's like you focus on his mouth when he expresses himself, just like that character does. So it's like he doesn't look entirely like that character, but he has those where the features are that separate that character from everybody else on the ship. This guy has it in real life. I'm like, wow, and the characterizations are good. I mean, I don't know, I can't compare them 100%, but at the barbershop I did hear it's about 75, 25%. 25% are like One Piece fans that love One Piece, the show, the cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
and don't like the live action, but 75% that love One Piece, the cartoon, One Piece, the manga, love the Netflix too.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah,
actually,
like
you read my mind because I was going to complain I was going to actually rant on you guys for not telling me to watch this shit. Like, why didn't you guys tell me One Piece was good?
Because you told us not to after you saw the posters at Comic-Con.
I know. I actually have video footage of actually like, babe, do you want to watch that? And she's like, fuck no. Like
They look like shit in those
the
posters.
poster looked terrible, yeah. But watching it in motion, everything like the shit's fucking. Even like she's like, nah, I don't want to watch it. You could watch it without me. And then she's like on her phone, and then she's like, wait, what happened? You know?
it's really interesting because I know that for me, like, you know, I've tried watching One Piece multiple times, like the anime.
Yeah.
And like it just doesn't do it for me because I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why, and it's weird because, or not weird, because I know I you know, in the past, like I on 2 separate occasions I've tried to watch One Piece and just haven't been into it. And I was just like, and you know, One Piece fans are no joke. Like,
yeah, we're not.
They take they take One Piece very seriously, and so you know, I've definitely gotten into some sketchy situations talking about not being a fan, like being too honest about my feelings on One Piece, you know, and so I'm just like, huh, okay, like, but I watched the show and I was like, this is excellent. Like it's so good.
I couldn't get into the anime either. I've seen a couple episodes, but not like it never did anything for me. But
right,
if you can condense it, I mean, they're on season 20.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, there's
anime,
like
but if you can
thousands of
condense it down to
episodes,
8
right?
episodes, that might be interesting.
No,
I mean, but it's not about the length though,
Yeah.
or the amount. Even though that doesn't help.
That's what people say, but we know.
It's about the
Like, because I watched all of Naruto, so it's like and don't get me wrong, there's a lot more One Piece than there's Naruto. But I'm just saying, if I could commit to, you know, 600 some episodes of Naruto, you know, I can watch potentially. Potentially I could have watched thousands of episodes of One Piece, right? So, but
not enough time.
It's like the world ends first.
You have a
It's like climate change is real.
You have a finite number of heartbeats. That's why I don't exercise.
But yeah, the show, I'm just like, dude, and here's the thing, the show was so good, I went back to watch the anime just to be like, dude, like, is the anime like this?
Back to the live action.
Well, I went back to the anime after I watched the live action to be like, dude, are they telling like the same story? And they are. Like the story beats are very like on point, but
I've seen some side by side on scenes between the live action and the anime. And they're like, that's as close as you're gonna get.
It's very true to the anime. And again, you know, I can't speak to the manga. I've never read the manga, but
well, usually the anime translate the manga pretty good, don't they?
Usually, but you know, you never know.
Depends on if you're watching Chainsaw Man or not.
But what I will say is, I was like, yeah, man, they were telling for the most part that like the same. I'm seeing the story beats, and you're right, Mo, or in what you were saying, or at least what you were conveying, that they did condense some stuff, so that you know you do have things happening in a little bit of a shorter time frame, but it's just like, yeah, it's great casting, and I mean, I think it all like kind of boils down to the dude they cast for Luffy. Man, that guy has a lot of charisma, like, yeah. And he's a real good actor. Like I remember watching him in that
the Mutant show with monsters.
Was it Imperfects
or
Imperfects? Yeah,
Imperfects, yeah.
I think it was Imperfects. Yeah. He was good in that, but he's like, you know, obviously he's doing something completely different with this, and Yeah, man. He's definitely like nailing that kind of enthusiasm for Luffy, which I'm like, man, that's wild. Like,
Oh, he was
who
in
would have thought?
Mex Zombies.
Yeah.
I never seen it. I just thought that was a cool name.
It's a zombie movie from Mexico.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
He's got a lot of like Spanish title movies.
Well, he's a Mexican actor, so he's in.
Mm-hmm.
He had a whole career there. I think here he's only done like 3 things.
Mm-hmm. But the 2 of the 3 of them have been real good. I can't speak to the 3rd one because I haven't seen it, but I saw 2 of them. Yeah, so.
And I only said 3 in case somebody's out there looking at cast them. It's like, oh, he's done 3 things already. Okay.
He's got 3. Well, they're in English, so I'm going to assume they're American. I'm not counting Mex Zombies. Although that sounds like it would be like a white guy named that one, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the English title.
Yeah. Like the Spanish title is probably much cooler.
La Decepción de los Zombies.
All right.
Yeah. So cool. So, okay, I just wanted to touch base with y'all about it and see if that was something that y'all had messed with yet, because I know that we hadn't really talked about it per se. So
I know it got renewed for a 2nd season already. So
that's good to hear. Yeah. Jay, you don't have no thoughts on it, huh? You're like,
I haven't seen it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I was gonna say he should have been Blue Beetle, but that guy was actually really good.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think they cast the right guy, but he could have been Blue Beetle too. He could have. I don't know if he would have been a better one. What's Tiger Claw talking about?
Tiger Claw says, I heard the people like the One Piece live action series, which is good because Netflix didn't have a good track record with live action adaptations of anime.
Or comics.
Or just anything. Like, their original stuff is great, but when they try to take something from somewhere else, it normally just gets fucked.
Yeah, because they did a Full Metal Alchemist. They did Bleach. They did.
I thought people liked the Full Metal Alchemist.
My brother did, but he's not people.
Oh, barely people.
I don't know. He did, but I like for me their best up until this point. Their best anime adaptation was Erased live action. That shit was amazing. It was so good. I didn't think it was based on anything. Then I realized on the anime and the manga. And then fans of the manga loved Erased more because the live action was actually closer to the manga than the cartoon was.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
how did you hear that?
Just finding out what Erased is, because it felt like there could be a 2nd season, or I want more of it. Like the way it is, it's kind of like one of those. The way it works, you want more of that.
Mm-hmm.
I started looking it up, and yeah, no, I think it was just a one and done thing. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
cool. Their Cowboy Bebop was not well liked.
Yeah, I know people didn't respond to it, but was it not good?
A lot of people said it was good, but it's not how One Piece the reaction One Piece got, because even the people that don't like it kind of like it.
Gotcha.
This dude, I cut his hair yesterday, and he's like, "Did you watch One Piece?" And he didn't know nothing about the cartoon, nothing. He's just a dude, hardworking dude. He's like, "That thing was amazing," and he's like, He watched it in one sitting, and he's like, it made me want to watch the cartoon to see what it is. And he's like watching the cartoon, like, that wasn't for me.
Yeah, that's exactly that was exactly my experience, where I was like, and obviously I knew what it was beforehand, but I was just like, there's no way that cartoon was as good as this, because and it's not.
But I can see cartoon being good in its own right now. Like I went and I watched it on the treadmill today, and the stuff I didn't like when I watched it initially is the stuff that I kind of didn't like. But I'm okay to put that aside just to move further along in the story now.
I mean, it's hard to say it's like really bad when it's been on for 20 years or however long.
Well, gonna knock it as far as saying like, oh, it's poor quality. I'm just saying it's just not for me. You know,
yeah, exactly. It's one of those things I don't like. Yeah.
And you know, honestly, it's a weird thing because I think some of it might just have to do with not being that as interested in like pirates.
I love pirates, but it's not. It's still, I like pirates more now in live action.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. But anyway. All right. Let's get on to our topics at hand then. You all want to do Adventure Time, Fiona and Cake first? Y'all want to do that?
Sure.
All right. Let's do it.
Also,
no, more about gel coat.
When the fourth round,
don't you call it?
does it look good already? Okay.
Jumbo Scampi for limited.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking to you all about Adventure Time, Fiona and Cake. Jay, will you do us the honors? Will you tell us about this series?
I will try.
Do it.
So, Adventure Time, Fiona and Cake is about Fiona is kind of having dreams about her life being more magical, and she's got this yearning for more than her dead-end job provides. And we also have Simon, who is out of touch with reality. Well, not reality, out of touch with the world. And so these two come together in order to kind of bring the magic back to both of their lives. I think that does it.
There it is. Look, it's interesting because nothing you said is wrong. I just think that I feel like if I had asked Oz to talk about it, I don't think he would have described it that way. And I appreciate that. Like, I like that. Right? Like, Oz, would you have described the show in those terms?
No, I didn't watch it.
No. I was like, I'll be watching no Adventure Time, Fiona and Kate. I was like, I don't even like Kate.
It's even worse. And now I realize it's a Fiona cartoon. It's not whatever the dude's name is.
Well, but that's part of the fun. Like, because it's
I don't watch regular Adventure Time either.
Again, but part of the fun. Like, you're just gonna watch something with new characters, and Finn's still there. Yeah. So it's like if you
spoilers.
Yeah. It's almost like a continuation in a weird way, like spin-off / continuation of what we saw in Adventure Time, which I feel bad because I'd never finished watching Adventure Time.
See, and it's interesting because I was having a conversation with Jay off air.
Off air?
And I was just asking him like, hey, like, should I like make an attempt? Like, I know that there's a lot of Adventure Time. Should I make an attempt to like watch any of that, or should I just like go into this fresh? And Jay, you didn't really give me a definitive answer.
You said yes, you should, but you don't need to.
Right, exactly. Something. I'm pretty sure that is what he said. Yeah, right. That is pretty much. At least if that's not exactly what he said, that felt like the sentiment. So it was like, okay, so I guess I decide. Got it.
Like, so I'm sorry. I didn't want to put the work in. But I know of the episodes that you would need to watch to like be primed for it.
That is true.
But I didn't want to do the work. I'm
Because
sorry.
He did.
because it is even like that Finn is not the Finn from the series, right? He's like a parallel universe one, or is it
Which one? The first one?
It's like there's multiple Finns.
Yeah, the second one with the kids.
Yeah, he's from Farm World.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, Finn had made a wish that the Lich never existed,
Yeah.
and that wish created Farm World. And in that world, Finn becomes the Ice King, and Jake becomes the Lich. And then they rewind and stop the Lich.
Dang.
And Farm World exists now.
So are all the worlds that we see in this series like are they all kind of Easter eggs in that sense, like you're just talking about, where like if you were watching Adventure Time, you would recognize a good number of them?
Some, but like the one with the Ice Prince, that's new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there are Easter eggs in it, but that world is new.
Got it. Okay.
Basically, like I would describe it almost like it's almost like a flashpoint, but not like one of those other worlds is trying to get everything back to normal, and the other one is like no, So it's almost like it's like a weird crisis in terms of Adventure Time. Like there's the multiversal aspect of it. There's the monitors or the guys trying to keep it from happening. Specifically like the Fiona part because of how she is created, how that comes about, and the Scarab guy is like, she's like, I didn't do anything. He's like, yeah, you did. You exist, and he's trying to like kill her essentially. And I'm like, fuck, that's badass. Like no fucking. No fucking multiversal comic shit ever really said it that hard, like to like a kid, a young girl. Yeah,
Definitely not to a young girl.
Yeah.
You're right.
And her cat. Yeah.
Even though it does like the tone of that was very similar, even though not as harsh, I guess.
Yeah.
In the last Spider-Verse joint. Like,
oh yeah,
the way that he came, like Miles Morales was kind of like, dude, you're the mistake, like it's like, oh.
And then also like kind of like Cable in the X-Men cartoon was kind of like that too. Like,
that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, man. So, Mo, what was your experience like? Because you've delved, like Jay watched Adventure Time.
Yeah,
you've dabbled with it, but you didn't finish.
Dabbled is you could say more than dabbled because
more than dabbled.
About 8 seasons straight or 7 seasons straight.
Oh, there's only like 10 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Most probably watched as much, if not more, than me.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I thought you finished it, Jay.
No, not every episode.
I watched up until Finn met his dad, and it wasn't his dad, and it like that episode. I'm like, no more. It was just like that experience with Mr. Pickles. Like, no more adventure. This is too hard. Like, I can't watch this shit. And he lost his arm in that episode too, and then the flower grew out of him. He's like, oh, cool.
Yeah, that was his dad.
It was, but he like rejected him or something. Like it was some weird fucked up shit that it's like kids don't need to be watching this shit.
I know that, like me watching this show, I was like, okay, I understand that the characters are like scaled up. So I was like, I was honestly, I had questions about the tone of it. Just because I do think of like Adventure Time as a kid show, primarily, even though I know a lot of adults like it too. But I was just like, watching it, I was like, is this like is what I'm watching today with Fiona and Kate. It's like, is this what Adventure Time is like? Because I don't know. Like, I've never really watched
It gets like
a
that
full
later.
episode.
It gets a little like that later. Not as toned up, but it's like an in between from what you've seen in the beginning. And it is like once you start dealing with like the Lich or the Prismo, you know, all that stuff, it's like it just becomes a little more existential, and the stakes are a little higher for Jake and Finn. So it almost like the audience kind of like in those 7-10 seasons, it's like, okay, if you watch this at 5, you're gonna watch it at 15 and still be like interested in it, you know?
But even like, say, you know, like they make, like, don't get me wrong, like, you know, obviously the art style is its own thing.
Yeah.
But I know that there were points where there was like depictions of violence that I didn't expect I would be seeing in what I think of as Adventure Time. And when I say that, I mean, like, I say that from an ignorant perspective because I really don't know what to expect from Adventure Time. Like, I see commercials, but you know, I was just like, oh, like I one thing that comes to mind is I feel like there was a point where there was like that like rooster dragon thing, and they cut the head off of it. and she takes the sword and goes around the neck, and like the head just kind of comes off, and I was just like, huh. I was like, I did not know Adventure Time got down like that, you know? And
they kind of did. Yeah, they kind of did, even when it was for kids. But you know, they're in the magical land of Vu, and then they're like in the Candy Kingdom or whatever. So it's like the jelly donut's like, oh, my guts, and it's like cherry,
right?
You know, so it just, but it's still like, man, that guy just got brutal. He's eviscerated, you know. So, but he's just a jelly donut, you know. So they did do that. Jelly donut. There was one like when you know, like going through one of the dark forests, and he's like fighting a goblin, and you know, shit like that. And then as they got older, like it ramped up a little more too, you know.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that there was a point where she took her shirt off. Fiona takes her shirt off, and the cat was like, "Any reason to get naked?" or something like that. And I was just like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, I was like, I don't know. I was just, and don't get me wrong, it's not like it's like explicit or anything. It's just one of those things where I'm like, oh, I didn't, you know, from a tone perspective. And again, this is, I guess what I was wondering more so was like, okay, like this is a show on Max, and a lot of the characters are older, so I don't know if that's like a tone that's like, oh, they're just kind of inching up with their audience a little bit, or if that's like something that would have been said on like an Adventure Time as well.
Yeah, it would have been. Like, there are a couple of times where, you know, there's one specifically where Princess Bubblegum is wearing this like really weird outfit where it's like she's in a like a barrel cut thing, and you know, Finn is like, you think she's naked in there? Like, so that happens. And there's also another scene where you know, Finn is saying that like there's this fire guy, and Finn's like saying like, oh, that guy's hot. And then Jake looks at him and he's like, no, I meant temperature hot, not sexy hot. Jake's like, no, you meant sexy hot.
Yeah, they do a lot of that. Like, there was a lot of like gay jokes without judgment, you know, and even like trans stuff. Because there's that one like character that's kind of like trans in there too, like, and it was like, cool, dude. Like, it was just like, oh, you like that, but instead of being like, oh, you like that, it's like, oh, you like that, yeah, whatever, you know, like, and it's like quest time, you know, like the victory is what matters, not who you are or what you like, you know.
Okay.
They always had like themes like that were a little more like, I always thought like, it's like, kid, this is for kids. Like the dad thing, like the way that episode played out, the first episode. Like, what the fuck are these kids watching? You know, I was offended by it more than the gay shit. You know, it's like, this is complex shit that I'm not ready to deal with.
There it is. So it was like, going into it blind, basically. It was a interesting experience for me just because I didn't know really what to expect. I mean, I've seen Finn and Jake before, um, obviously, and they're like I've seen the characters, and I've seen like some of the settings, and so watching the show, I was like, okay, well, it's probably going to be some of that happening, and it absolutely was not in the first episode. First episode is pretty mundane, with the exception of like, well, I guess that's not true. It starts off a little bit like that because you have this dream sequence, right? And so you have the dream sequence, but then they wake up in reality, and the cat obviously has something going on with it. And there's a moment where you have the cat, uh, uh, like jumping through like a portal or something. But it was all pretty mundane outside of that. And I was just like, huh, okay, like this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Like I thought it was going to be something a little different. But I'm like, okay, like it felt very slice of lifey, which I wasn't mad at. I was just like, okay, like we'll see, we'll see what happens. And then episode 2 kind of does it was kind of the opposite, because it was like a lot of fantastical stuff that you see. But the wild part though was that even though there was all this stuff that I was more expecting to see from the first episode, I was like, I don't know if I'm really like feeling any of these characters. Like, I don't know if I care, and I was kind of waiting for Fiona to show back up, and she doesn't. And so I was just like, huh. So it was like the first 2 episodes were very strange for me, because I was just like, the first one I didn't get any. I got almost none of the stuff that I was expecting to see, but I got a character that I was like, okay, like I will see where we're going with this character. And then in episode 2, I got a world that wasn't, it's not the world that I thought it was going to be, but it was like more along those lines, I guess. But then all the characters, I was just like, I don't know. Like, I was definitely feeling like, okay, it must be like, if I had watched Adventure Time, it would be different. Especially, and I know that now, because now that I know more of the backstory of the Ice King, it's like, okay, like I would have known who that was right from the beginning, and I would have been invested in a different way if I had watched Adventure Time. But because I wasn't, I was just like, I don't know, man. This dude, he's a weirdo. And I don't know. I don't know what this guy's all about, and so I kind of had to like sit and learn, and then and he's abusing this thing in a cage. I'm like, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird. And I was really confused, just because the little girl has on the little fin hat thing, and she likes, like, her favorite story is Fiona and Cake, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm like, I guess Fiona and Cake's a story here. I'm just like, I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's interesting, because it's like, you definitely, it's not holding your hand in regards to like letting you put stuff together, especially like, like so many shows these days, like they want to tell you everything right from the beginning, so that they want to make sure you're hooked. And I don't know, I guess Adventure Time's like, oh, we got clout like that. They're like, you go stay. Like but I will say this: if I was not doing this for the show, I don't know if I would have stayed. I honestly, I might have just watched the first 2 episodes and be like, I think I'm good. I don't know, this might just not be for me. I don't know that I would have kept watching if we weren't talking about this today.
Yeah, it's definitely made, like, it literally is a continuation of Adventure Time. Mm-hmm. Like, taking place 12 years after the finale, Come Along With Me. yeah, and they just kind of assume like you've been on board for the whole time.
Right.
It's a detriment, maybe, but I know as someone that's watched, a fair amount, like, yeah, I was complete. Like, I've been wanting to know what's happened to Simon after he lost Betty. Like, this is stuff I've been interested in. So I'm already just invested. And seeing him in that state where he's like, man, it's like I feel bad for him.
And for example, like me not knowing how all that played out, but still watching it and then finding out what it is, it was more like, wow, this is fucked up. What happened to him and how he's living now? And I'm like, that's where that second episode really hit me hard. Because that's when I'm like, oh shit, this is the Ice King, like because I didn't know about the Simon stuff, and then and I'm like, man, I really should have finished watching after that. Like, I'm a little bit for watching that Jake and his dad episode and then not watching anything after that. Like, so it's like
it traumatized you. Don't feel bad.
Well, no, but ultimately, it's like this is a whole other like existential issue too. That I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I'm ready for this shit too.
Right.
And then, but
right.
I didn't pussy out like I did, 10 years ago or whatever. of Adventure Time happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does, like, it goes fairly the episodes thus far do kind of take you on a journey in regards to like not only like multiversal kind of like dynamics and like how and how those things could potentially work, but a lot of like existential kind of stuff, and like like even the idea of like being the best version of yourself, and like what it's like feeling or knowing that you might not actually be like living up to your potential.
Yeah. I had a whole fight with my mom with that last week, but that's another show. But stay tuned for therapy time with with my therapist next hour. No, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the way that these episodes are structured to, like, how it kind of grew with its audience too, is that like they're a little more less randomy and are more concise in the storytelling, even though they still have the random stuff like the thing in the cage, and the version of that in each world.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I feel like the random aspect is something that like it doesn't, it like, or maybe I should say Adventure Time's particular brand of randomness doesn't necessarily always work for me. And that was the case here in this show too, but there were times when it did work, and those were fun. but it's so weird because I do feel like it definitely, I think you said it right, Mo, where it's like they kind of do streamline, or not streamline, they do have a narrative and then they sprinkle in the randomness. And I don't, again, I can't speak to how much that happens in Adventure Time or not, but I do, like, eventually I'm like, oh, okay, like we have a story. like these characters are going on a journey.
Think of it like food. Like Fiona and Cake is basically a good steak, a good piece of meat with just salt and pepper on it to give it the right flavor, right? The salt and pepper is the randomness on there. Whereas Adventure Time is a good piece of steak, but you're smoking it, and so you wrap it in this whole rub and aluminum foil and all this other stuff. So their narrative is there, but there's a lot of randomness. Like if they eliminated the randomness, they probably would have like a 6-season show, instead of a 10. But the fun, like, what's the point of having a cartoon that isn't fun? For that we just do live action, like yeah. So it's like the fun of Adventure Time is a lot of that randomness,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
when you watch, like, because I remember the day that like it premiered, or like
Okay.
it was like a few days after, and it was like the second episode or something that played, and I was at your house. We were doing the show in the daytime. You were editing, and I'm like, "The fuck is this shit?" And it's like, it's one of those shows Jay likes, and Jay wasn't even there. And then and then I'm like, and I'm watching, like, yeah, what is it? It's like, yeah, and it was weird, way random, but it was still like I just love the logo, like with the Adventure Time and the sword, and I'm like, that looks like Conan. It looks like Manowar. It looks like every German power metal album I love. Like, I'm in. And then a couple weeks later, I'm like, Jay, you ever watch Adventure Time? He's like, I love Adventure Time. Yeah, like Larry said he would. Yeah. But that's how I got into it myself. But it was like really random, and for me as an adult, a serious adult at the age of 27, yeah, it was like I was like, yeah, what are these kids? These kids ain't right. Yeah, but yeah, but once you get into the story of it, seeing all the, like, I remember one episode that got me, like, it was way random, but it was like Jake helping this lady that was like an elephant, old ass elephant lady in the woods, and he's just helping her because she's an old lady. And I'm like, kids need to learn this kind of, like, it basically the helping the old lady cross, but in an episode with a quest and a wraith and all this shit. And I'm like, yeah, I like this. I'm like, I like this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because, I mean, obviously, when you're talking about the idea of anything doing something at random or that feels random, it's like obviously the people that make the show are hoping every joke lands.
Yeah.
And it's so wild because, like, as myself watching it, like, I don't even know why some of the things that they do in the show I look at and I'm like, that's just random and dumb. And other things, like, make me laugh out loud. Like, I don't know, and that's a weird thing. Like,
I know why, because it's made for
why?
it's made for you to watch with your child. Like,
Mm.
you don't know this because you've never kidnapped a kid, but if you watch it with a child, like, they laugh at different things than you do. In Adventure Time specifically, that's what happened to me once, and I was like, I'm watching it and I'm enjoying it, and I'm like, I'd put it for me. This kid happened to be there, and he was laughing. I never heard this kid laugh. He was like real shy, and he was laughing at stuff that I wasn't laughing at, and it's like something about me not being a kid I didn't get. It was something a more pop culture-y thing, but I'm old, or I was old, that I just didn't get, like some kind of nomenclature or something, or parlance. I don't know if I'm using things right here, but it's something like that he knew, and he laughed, and I'm like, and it's like, we both there was a random episode, not random because it's random stuff in it, but there was a bunch of random stuff in it, and literally I laughed at 50% of it, he laughed at the other 50, and then there's like the stuff that overlapped.
Like,
so we
I
laughed
know
at 125% of it.
I know that one of the things that made me laugh was they had captured the Simons at one point, and they're in like some like frosting or something, like in some kind of, they're in some type of goo or frosting or something. I don't know, because it's a dessert land that they're in, I think.
Candy.
And I'm sorry, Candyland. There it is. And they put them into a. Say what?
They were tied up with red vines.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. Okay, so they're tied up with red vines, and they put him into a cell, and Simon pulls his hands up, and he has handcuffs, and the handcuffs are alive, and so he pulls his hands up out of whatever the red vines and up, and the handcuffs go ta-da. I was just like, I was just like, why did that happen? It made me laugh, and then he tries to break out of the handcuffs, and the handcuffs go ah! He just like stretches it, and then I go ah! And that made me laugh too. And I was just like, so weird. Like, there's no good reason for those handcuffs to be alive. And even
if they weren't, you wouldn't have had that moment of joy in your mundane life.
Well, I mean, that's true, but there's no good reason to even know. Like, I'm sure that there are people out there that didn't laugh at that too. And it made me laugh, and I'm not even sure why it made me laugh, but it was just the fact that he pulled his hands up and the handcuffs were like, ta-da! And I was just like, why did they go ta-da?
I really wish that would have happened when I got arrested.
You say that now until the handcuffs say ta-da, then you're like, I'm high. I'm so high. Like I'm going to jail forever. Can't pass no drug test. No, damn, but yeah, that joint was like a little random thing that made me laugh, that I was like, that's so weird. Or like there was another point like earlier in the show where the cat, I mentioned earlier, the cat jumps into like a portal, right? Cake jumps into a portal. Fiona sees Cake jump into the portal, and the portal was inside of an ice cream cart, like old school, like literally cart, like in the park. You open it up, and so the thing was open because the person that's manning the cart was giving ice cream to another customer, to a little girl or something. The cat jumps into the cart and disappears. And Fiona's like, oh my God, Kate. She goes into the cart to go find Kate, and she can't find Kate because, of course, Kate jumped through a portal. And so she's, like looking around, like moving the ice cream around, trying to find her cat. And the woman pulls her out of the cart, right? And which makes sense. It's weird that she for some reason, the woman knocks the cart over and pulls her out of it on its side or whatever, right? So she pulls her out by her legs. And Fiona kicks the woman in the stomach, which I was just like, geez, that's harsh. Like, cause she literally, the woman's like, hey, get out my cart. She turns over and kicks her in the stomach, like full on. And woman, oh! And she goes, so she says something like, oh, I'm sorry. Or something. Like she apologizes, but she apologizes like it was like on accident. But she kicked her in the stomach on purpose. And that made me laugh because I was just like, why is she like, oh, I'm sorry? Like she didn't do that joint on purpose. Like, that's not the right reaction. You don't say, oh, I'm sorry when you kick somebody in the stomach full on like that.
It's on purpose, but it is because, she's protecting her cat.
But she's not though. And that's the thing, where it's like, even if her cat had jumped into that thing, it's like, that's not on the ice cream person. Like, it's like she's not protecting her cat from the ice cream person. Like her cat did some craziness and jumped into even if the cat was in the cooler, it's like if the woman doesn't even know that happened and sees somebody in her cart, like half body in, she has all rights to pull her out. So if you kick her in the stomach, it's like you just assaulted that woman. Like, like that joint is not okay. And that's why when she did it, I was like, oh my God. And then she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then gets up and walks off. She don't explain nothing. She just like go. And I was just like, dude, that is so wild and random. Like, this woman doesn't even know what happened. She's like, man, a woman tried to steal my ice cream. She kicked me in the stomach, apologized, and ran off. It's like,
hey, well, look, hey, if you spend time in Long Beach, that happens often.
Exactly. There it is. I don't know, man. It's a
tweakers.
Say what?
They're called tweakers.
Oh, okay. What can you all tell me about this Prismo dude?
Oh man.
In show or out?
You said in show or out?
Yeah.
Does this fool exist in our reality? If so, I don't think I want to know that.
Yeah.
No, there's a bit of meta news about him. Like, there's actually a joke in the show where he's talking about how Cake is off model and their voice is off, and that's going to bug him the whole time.
Right.
His voice is off. Like,
oh, his voice is off.
Yeah, he's a different guy.
Oh, okay.
He was originally played by Kumali Nanjiani.
Oh, yeah.
But there was an issue between Cartoon Network hiring and Nanjiani's management.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they went to the management, and the management turned them down, but they never actually told Kumali that they got the offer because he actually did want to do it.
So why did that? Wait, are we sure that that's real, or is that one of those? Because that happens in Hollywood, where sometimes people say that, but the reality is, you know, they didn't want to do it, and they just use their management as like a.
I mean, it doesn't matter either way. That's the story. Like,
right now, we're taking it at face value.
Right.
Okay.
If that's not it, that doesn't matter.
Tweeting out like how he would have loved to have come back to do Prismo, and Adam Muto tweeted like, "Yeah, we asked you. Your people respectfully said no." And Kamadi tweeted back like, "Oh, they never told me. I'm gonna have to have a talk with them."
It's like, why would his management say no to a job he had done already?
Well, because he's in a different strat. Like, he's not even doing stand-up anymore. That's when he was doing stand-up when he did that. Like, he wasn't even in any movies yet. Like, he had probably done.
Oh wait, when did Adventure Time end?
No, but when Prismo started coming out, it was like season 6, and it was back. This was, I mean, going back about 10, 11 years ago. He was still doing stand-up and doing bit parts on sitcoms. Like,
right.
He wasn't coming out in movies, and he wasn't, in the MCU when he did that.
Right.
Same with Mark Maron. Like, Mark Maron, like, he came back. Well, he didn't come back, but he's done episodes of Adventure Time, like little small voices, and now that he has his own character here, because it's like, hey, we're trying to bring some of the voices back, and they had a whole episode with him,
But I'm saying he wasn't in like the last season didn't have his character in it?
I mean, they did, but he still wasn't. I don't think he was doing Stuber while he was doing Adventure Time. That came after. Like, he was doing Adventure Time as extra income while he's like writing his stand-up act.
I didn't know Adventure Time had ended that long ago. I thought Adventure Time finished like relatively recently, but I guess I'm wrong in that. Like, I don't,
It feels like it's been a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
It feels like it's almost been 12 years. Like, that's why they picked that timeline.
Was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Say it again?
So even Distant Lands was like a few years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is Distant Lands after Adventure Time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's just been a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah.
Look, I see so many people dressed as the characters at Comic-Con.
Even if it ended like 5 years ago, like the person, the real fact is that when Camille Nanjiani was on Adventure Time, it wasn't when he was starring in his own shows. He was doing bit parts. So it's just the way, like, they want him to be the star of the show. His management wants him because that's more money. They're like, yeah, we're not gonna, he doesn't need to bother with that. Like they just made an executive decision because he's, yeah, we
Right.
want to.
You're beyond that now.
It happens a lot. Like Howard Stern always says, like eventually he's like, oh yeah, his agent's like, oh, they offered that, I said no, and he's like, oh okay, yeah, and he's like, they wanted to make like that movie where Robin Williams becomes president. Like they had offered that to him, and then they went to his agent, and his agent automatically said no, and then he's like, and Howard didn't find out. Like he's like, I just told my agent to say no to everything. Like I just want to do radio. But then there's stuff where he's like, man, I wish I could have done that.
Right.
He reviews something and he likes it, and then his agent's like, oh yeah, they asked you to do that, and he's like, you said no. He's like, well, you told me to say no. I'm like, all right, yeah, but it's a different case than on Johnny, but it is in
the same vein.
Yeah, if he told them, hey, I feel like I don't want to, like, it could have been the timing of when they were doing it. It's like if he just started a family and shit, it's like, you know what? I'm not trying to work, so unless it's worth my money, like just say no, and it's like turned out to be that, and he's like, well, I got a toddler, I'm on daddy leave or whatever. It's like they're like, yeah, you know what? He said no. Yeah,
it's interesting because I kind of feel like knowing that now, Jay. I'm like, that character is like a whole different character with him doing the voice of it. It feels like
no, like that guy's pretty good.
Yeah,
is he doing it like how Kamal would have done it?
It's
the
personality is like identical. The personality, yeah. So in fact, the personality has grown a little, and maybe because I haven't seen the ending of it, but like him in the hot tub like that, like he's just a shapeless being that lives in that cube, and it just his head is in the hot tub with beer there, like. But that type of like the way he reacts to Scarab and stuff like that, or even like doing the dual timeline conversations, like that's stuff that's it felt like natural Prismo.
It's an interesting character. It's like I would like to see more.
Well, wait till you see the Lich.
He's cool.
You'll be scared at the Lich.
Okay.
Like I don't think Larry can handle the Lich, really.
It's not the first time I've been accused of not being able to handle the Lich. Everyone knows that. Yeah. Another aspect of things that I was like pleasantly surprised by, and like again, where I was just like, oh man, like this I'm actually really interested in, and I would not have guessed that, is the whole thing that happened with Fiona's two friends and them like haphazardly creating or accidentally coming together and like forming a friendship and potential relationship or whatever. I was like, oh, like this is real interesting to me. And it's like not a thing that I would have been like, oh, if you asked me, is that what you want to watch? I don't know that I would have said that. I don't know that I would have, but I find those two characters together very compelling. Like not as much like individually, they were kind of like, okay, there's this guy and then there's that guy over there. And they both were cool, It's like the performances were both great. But when they messed around and like met each other and were like, oh, hey, are you, he was like, is there going to be food where you going? And they went off together. And I was just like, dude, I'm like, these dudes together are super cool. Like, this is like awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome, them getting together. Like,
and especially with them being very different.
Right. And I mean, their counterparts are together. So it's like, should have seen it coming, but I didn't.
Oh, see, I don't know anything about that. Is that in Adventure Time?
Yeah. So they're the
yeah.
gender swap versions of Marceline the Vampire Queen and Princess Bubblegum. Who are dating together. and we actually see them for a few moments trying to get tattoos.
Yeah. Okay. Those are supposed to be the same people?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's interesting. That's interesting. And I guess I should have put that together when I did see the vampire version of the other guy. Like, but I wasn't paying attention enough.
Right.
But yeah, that's really interesting. And so, um, also too, it was funny because the dude, the so the gender swap version didn't exist until this show of these characters. Like the male versions of these characters didn't exist till this show.
No, they existed in Adventure Time. So Fiona and Kate have about, I think, 4 episodes in Adventure Time.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
So yeah, let me. Fiona and Kate in Adventure Time, they were stories that the Ice King would kidnap people and like read these stories to them.
It was his fan fiction for Jake and Finn, but like gender swap.
Right.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, all these characters were introduced in those gender swap episodes of the Ice King telling his fan fiction stories, which turned out aren't even his. They're Prisma's.
Right. Wait, so
and that's the thing where like Oz not watching this is a bit of a disappointment because he likes the monitors, he likes Crisis, he likes Q, like this, and this is kind of like you get that in this weird, cool, like cartoony aesthetic,
I'm like hats with cat ears.
I don't know that Oz would like this show.
No, but the thing is, it has the stuff that he like if he did acid, he would probably come up with a cartoon with these influences like this, So it's like it's one of those things. Like he could at least watch it to review it and then see, oh yeah, I like the influences they did, and then he'd have something to say,
And I will say,
not that I'm mad you didn't watch it. I'm just disappointed.
Oh damn!
I don't know that's what we're doing this week.
At the point where they're showing Prismo like beaming the stories into Simon's head, that scene is in Adventure Time.
Oh, okay.
But it's just the Ice King and a red beam going into his head, and they don't expound on it. So you're literally just left with that at the end of an episode.
They never explained it until now.
Yeah.
See? And that's why I can't watch that show.
but it paid off. They paid it off for you.
Well, yeah, but apparently 10 years later.
And? Like, are you still not here 10 years later?
Like, maybe.
Watching it 10 years later? Like, yeah.
Well, I'm watching it now at the satisfying point. So I feel better about it now. If I watched it then, I'd be like, Jay, what the hell happened with that beam?
I bet
and
Larry
Jay would be like, I don't know, man, random.
I bet Larry hates foreplay anyway. Also,
100%. Everyone knows this about me as well. I don't do well with foreplay or liches.
Lawrence is like, I showed up.
That's why the girl is talking about her favorite stories. Yeah, that's why the girl is saying like Fiona and Cake are her favorite stories. Like they're his stories that he used to tell people.
Got it.
Eventually got published into books, I guess.
So did because the dude that's the vampire guy, and and he's like in this he's a musician. I was like I'm listening and I'm like, damn, that voice sounds familiar to me, but it's like I'm having a hard time placing it, and I didn't place it until like I was maybe like 4 or 5 episodes in, and it's Donald Glover.
Yes.
So he was doing that in Adventure Time as well?
I don't remember if it was him in Adventure Time.
Got you. Okay.
It was actually a different character.
Okay.
Because technically, his character is in a story told by Marceline, not the Ice King.
Got it. Okay. Well, listen. Do you all have anything y'all want to talk about or say about it before we rate it?
I really like it. Like, I like that it's grown up. I like it is taking advantage, or it's using its rating well. I think, like, it's not going. It still feels like classic Adventure Time, just with a little more grown up. Like a show Blood Now. I'm enjoying the story, seeing all the characters and everything. I get like maybe half the Easter eggs, which is cool. Yeah, I feel like there is more to say, but you know.
I watched.
Yes, Joe.
I watched like how many episodes are there?
6.
Six out now.
I watched 6, but are there going to be
watched
any?
What?
I watched 6 of them. So.
Oh yeah.
Are there
going to be 10?
10. Okay.
Oh yeah, that actually does remind me about the other thing I wanted to say, or that I was going to mention casually. Tomorrow, episodes 7 and 8 come out, and so everyone is going to be on the same footing. The network actually sent out screeners to like certain reviewers in the cartoon community, which had the first 7 episodes. You know, as long as they don't, spoil it, like they were allowed to see the first 7 episodes. So with tomorrow, we'll all be on the same footing.
Okay.
Okay,
so even the say again.
I just find that interesting.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's Mo, you got something you want to say, or you want to do some ratings?
I'll do some ratings.
All right, Moses. What would you rate Adventure Time, Fiona and Kate?
I would give it 4 out of 5. The multiversal stuff, I feel like everybody's kind of doing it, and like I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, everybody's doing it, but it's still like they could have gotten a little more creative with it, but they did do it in their flavor, so I can't knock them for that. So I'm not too mad about it, and I did like at the end how I like how it played out. So I can't really knock it, but that first episode when they started talking about multiverse and stuff, I'm like, okay, I feel like I've seen this before and I've seen it better. But in the end, the way they did it, it's theirs and it works and it fits, and it's influenced by other things, but it's still good. So it's like I always felt critical about it in that moment. I still feel critical about it, but not enough to be like, oh, this isn't good. So, but yeah, it is. I do give it a 4, and then a 4 out of 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Feels good.
Jay, what would you rate Adventure Time, Fiona and Kate?
I would give it a 5 out of 5. This is just an amazing show. Granted, I know a fair amount of the history. Like, I imagine going in blind is a little different, but I'm loving it. I'm loving seeing these characters. Really interested to know where it's gonna go. Like, I kind of know Like, I kind of feel like where I know where it's going to end, but I'm not 100% sure, and I am looking forward to seeing that. Hex says, how do you become a cartoon reviewer? Most of them are just YouTubers. They, they make YouTube videos reviewing cartoons. And if you're good, lucky, if you're good and if you're lucky, you get that following, and then you're a cartoon reviewer. So, if you want an example, check out, and they're not paying us, but if you check out like the Round Table, their content,
or Fantastic Forums. Fantastic Forums content.
Nah, those guys are dicks.
You didn't even watch the cartoon. Like,
you just said they're dicks.
But we have a little more special. That's a cartoon. That's a panel of everybody that watched the cartoon talking about it. Yeah, link up here somewhere for Fillmore review. Yeah.
Bam. There it is.
Yeah.
That did turn out really good, Jay.
Oh, cool.
Larry finally watched it.
I did. I was like, who's that guy? Who's that guy up there with Jay talking nonsense? Anyway,
but
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I love it.
Cool. You know what? I think I got to give it. I think I have to give it a 4 out of 5. I think Moses' sentiment is my own as well, where it's kind of like it's good. I know it's good. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but it's good. And because like I'm honestly, there's a part of me that's like, I don't know. Well, no, what I'll say is this. I'm probably going to keep watching. But I'm probably going to keep watching because I watched 6. Like I watched 6 for the show. And it's like, yeah, like, I mean, but there's obviously doing something where it's like, I do kind of want to know where it's going to go. But like, say if this was like, Thursday comes and for whatever reason the show didn't come out, the 2 episodes didn't come out, I don't know if I'd be like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do? I don't know if I would feel like that. I would just, but and so I'm kind of maybe transitioning into this as a fan as a potential fan. Maybe that's the right way to say it, because I feel like this kind of show is not my normal cup of tea, but it's doing something that has intrigued me, and the characters are doing something collectively that I'm like, okay, I think I would like to see how this plays out. But I guarantee you, like I said, if we had done this in, which I don't know, did this premiere with 2 episodes, or did it just premiere with like the 1?
2.
2, okay. Like if we had done this when it premiered, I probably would have given this a completely different review. Just been like, I don't care for it.
Episode 2 didn't hit you? Like
it didn't, because again, like I don't know.
Yeah,
I know the Ice King as a character, but that guy, I didn't know that guy was the Ice King. And even knowing that guy is the Ice King, which, he does eventually during the course of the episode, you learn he's the Ice King. But I'm just like, still, I'm kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't know the Ice King like that to be invested. And what honestly made me really like be like, oh, okay, like the little hook, and this is what I can give the show credit for, is I feel like generally speaking, each episode ends with a pretty decent hook. You know, like the cat jumping out the back of his head. I was just like, what's that? Like, what's that about? Like, I don't even understand. Like, why did that happen? Like, he was looking for a portal. He didn't even realize he was the portal. And so I'm just like, huh. So why is that happening? And I would like to know if they're going to give me an answer to that. And eventually they do. So I'm like, okay, like I didn't have to wait 8 years to figure out why a laser beam went into his eye. So I'm taking that as a win.
So a little homework for you.
Uh-oh.
Check out Adventure Time Season 5, Episode 14. It's called Simon and Marcy.
Okay.
That is going to give you your primer on who Simon is.
Okay. Season 5, Episode 14.
Yeah.
Okay. I will do it. Like Hex says, get with the lore, man. Exactly. And that's it. Like, you know, I'm not with the lore. And, you know, yeah,
he also
so we'll
said
see.
he's gonna drop some Bluey reviews for us, which
I
I'm
don't even know what Bluey is.
I've watched an inordinate amount of Bluey for someone who doesn't have kids.
Like, a little late to the bandwagon, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
Like, Bluey was, earlier in the year, everyone was on Bluey. Which Bluey is an Australian kids TV show starring dogs. They do handle some serious matters.
Dude, that shit fucking made me cry.
They are censored on Disney Plus.
Are they
censored?
Yes.
Yeah, because Australians they don't give a fuck. Man. There's sex on TV, like they just call it another.
Are there dogs having sex in Bluey?
No,
it's just talking about death or shit like that. Like
they talk about death, divorce, life stuff that Disney wants to pretend doesn't exist.
Shit. Like Bluey does heavy shit and then teaches kids how to deal with heavy. Like there's the episode that made me cry was like this dude Bluey and his family go camping for their summer vacation. And they just hang out, and Bluey he's bored because it's just him and his family. His friends are back home, and he meets a French dog, and he ends up like befriending him for the 2 weeks that they're there, and then before you know it, his friend is just gone. Like he just disappeared because he went back to France. Yeah, like, what the fuck? And it's like, and I'm like, what the fuck are they teaching these kids? What they're showing these kids? Like the kids don't need to they don't need to know this shit. Like I'm pissed at my sister. Are you watching what these kids are watching? You know? And then my little niece, the youngest one, she's what 3 now. She's like, just wait till the end, uncle. Wait till the end. And then the end pays off. But she saw me she saw me tearing up. She looked up and she's like, just wait till the end. Just wait till the end.
she's all consoling you.
She knew exactly why I was tearing up.
Damn, that's messed up.
Yeah, and it's also made in colors that dogs can see, so you can put it for your dogs. That's why I watched more than I should have. Put it on to see, and sure enough, they're both like,
that's cool. All right, well, shoot, y'all ready to talk about some comics?
No.
Well, too bad. It's not that time.
After reliving that Jean-Luc moment.
Review. Review. Well, not like that, but like.
All right. Minor threats. Moses, Tell us about it, buddy. What is Minor Threats?
It's a comic book written by Jordan Bloom and Patton Oswalt, comedian Patton Oswalt, and it is a essentially like a it's a deconstructive type of superhero story, but done from the villain's perspective, and it deals with like a moment in analog of the Justice League's tenure and how they're handling it, but really through the perspective of villains. But they're not like the super like cream of the crop villains either. They're the crappier ones, or and not necessarily crappier, but they've aged out, or they have like the weird like how we used
The
to look at the
D-listers.
Spot, like how we used to look at the Spot or Stilt Man, and
Right.
but it deals from their perspective. You see more of their motivations to do things, like little origin stories for them here. Almost each episode has an origin story for each one of them, alongside the story and the motivation of them doing this story. So that I thought that was a good little way of doing this series. And then it focuses on the main character, which is like she was a villain sidekick and inherited her mom's crime career, but she went to jail. She got, so they look down on her because she actually just got caught by the cops, not put down by a hero. And she did her time. She has a kid. She wants to get the kid back, and she's just trying to go back into normal life, which is kind of like an analog for like just somebody on parole, but she just have a superpower, and it's like, we with your condition, I don't think we can rent to you. Like I would want to, but my insurance company wouldn't cover me, so I can't do it, And it was like it was a very felt like a very real grounded way to do somebody that's like she don't even want to be really a super villain, but she's made for being a super villain, and now she has to like. And in the course of her reintegrating into society after paying her debt to society and getting a job, she finally finds a job, which was hard enough as it is. They do the analog to Death in the Family, like where they killed Jason Todd, and how Batman should have reacted. They do it here, and like the Justice League of this universe is like, dude, like we're trying to protect you villains because he's coming for you all, and we can't stop him, and shit like that. And so they're like, well, if we find him first, we can probably get the reward or whatever, the because there's like a bounty on the dude that killed the Insomniac sidekick. It was a Dusk Boy or something.
Kid Dusk, I think,
Kid Dusk,
right?
yeah. So they're like, well, if we find him first, she's like, well, I could restart my life, get my kid, get the fuck out of here, and then but to do that, she gets this team of ragtag D-list villains that she serves at the villain bar, and was like, let's do this, let's take them down. And the way it all plays out is really the magic here. Like they all have their reasons to go for it, and she's the glue that puts them together so that they can go for it together. And yeah, the rest is comic book. I think comic book history, because I think this will be the next, AMC series or some shit. And
no, I hear what you're saying, and it's interesting because I mean, obviously there are a lot of analogs of different heroes that people would recognize, but it also kind of has like a little bit of a feel of like a heist film in some ways.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a hybrid of superhero genre along with that aspect of things.
It's Miller Lite.
Say again, Jay?
It's Miller Lite.
Miller Lite. That's interesting.
I would call it Miller Plus, because it's like it's actually finished. Like it finished in the
Come on, man.
It came out on schedule, Like we got the trade paperback like faster than I thought we would. You know, and look, it was only 4 issues, but realistically, those 5 and 6 issues of Millar stuff are the ones that take the longest to come out. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was there in the era with you, so I understand exactly why you say what you say. But at the same time, you have to give the man props for the changes that he's made, because he.
I don't give him props for anything.
He comes out with his stuff much more regularly in this day and age.
In this day and age, but I'm not trying to read a shit this day and age. I was trying to read Superior back then.
Okay, hey, and that's fair. I get it. Like, you know, you're not interested now, but I'm saying he's like that has changed. He has
the stuff he does now isn't as good as the stuff he was doing back then anyway.
Yeah, if you're putting out shit, it's easier to do it more often.
Oh, well, see, like and that
and realistically, it was all shit, only now he took laxative.
See, and that, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this all reeks of people that haven't read his recent work. You know, it's like, I would not say
Look,
this.
You don't suggest it for review. You know, I don't got time to read.
No, we reviewed.
He doesn't even mention that he's reading it.
Dude, we reviewed the Magic Order #1, didn't we?
I don't remember reading
like
that
2 years ago.
What? Look, Magic Order is on like its 3rd series right now, and it's
It's 2 years ago. Like,
what I'm saying. Well, yeah, but what I'm saying, there's a Magic Order series going on right now which, like you said, we're talking about what the point we're making is the dude doesn't come out with stuff and doesn't finish stuff, or the stuff he comes out with isn't good and he doesn't finish it. What I'm telling you is it is good, which you all know this because you all read Magic Order, and since we read or talked about issue 1. He's on volume 3 of Magic Order, which I'm pretty sure volume 3 is happening right now. He's completed 2 volumes of it. It's like, and here's the wild part. This fool is just making comics to make comics. Like, because his job is like, technically, like, you know, he has a Netflix job, right? But like Netflix, like him making comics isn't part of the contract, apparently. And so he's like, oh no, I'm not going to stop writing comics. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. So anyway, but
so what else did he do? Just Magic Order? All right.
No, he's doing, like, literally he just had a crossover of like all the stuff he's doing right now. So he's done Magic Order. He brought back what was the Nemesis? Wait,
rehashing old shit. Okay.
Oh no, well let him finish. Let him finish. Because
how's it rehash? It's the next installment. He brought back Nemesis.
Let him.
And so he did, and then he has another series that he did that I haven't read. But all of those series had come together, and he did like a crossover event.
Okay.
So it's like he's making.
When did this happen?
Like, I'm pretty sure the crossover event, I think, may like have just started.
So that means in all these meetings we've been having, you could have said, "Oh, this is coming out. This is something we should look at," and you never said it.
Dude, I've said other stuff or defer to you all. What you all have been talking about. Like, I've suggested things, obviously, but I've suggested different things.
Not Millar things.
Yeah, well, listen, the Millar stuff.
You're still not, you know. You're a bad ambassador. You're a bad emissary to Millar.
I am not, because I am out
That's
here
his
defending.
next book, Bad Emissary. It'll be out by weekly.
Bad Emissary actually does sound like an interesting title. Bad Emissary. But anyway, that's all neither here nor there. Let's get back to the topic at hand, which is minor threats. Oz, I mean, listen, I'm very interested to hear your take on this joint. What were your thoughts as you read?
Yeah, it's I started reading it thinking, I gotta get through this whole thing. And then a few minutes later, I'm like, oh, it's over?
No, wait, and when you say it's over, you're talking about getting, like, I mean, you finished the entire thing in like
I didn't think I would finish it, but I went through it. Like, I just didn't stop. And then next thing you know, it's over. You get a lot of it's actually kind of a common story of what if Superman goes bad. You can get a whole lot of what if Batman goes bad, because most people think, well, you just send Superman, but you kind of see in the story, because that's the good guy that like you said, it's a death in the family analog story. And so yeah, it's their Batman. They call it Insomnia Man, or just
The
Insomnia.
Insomniac.
Insomniac. Yeah, he's looking for his Joker now, who has killed his Jason Todd. He looks like Damien. So yeah, and so yeah, it's the Justice League should be more scared of Batman than they really are, because there's so many stories about where Batman takes them down accidentally. This is like he's not going after the Justice League. He's going after the villains, which is kind of like puts them in a weird spot, because they're villains, but they don't want to like be helping the villains. So at one point they're like capturing a whole bunch of them, and somebody realizes like, oh, he's taking them off the street so Insomniac doesn't get him. Where like at first you're thinking they're just going around beating up random villains. Like, no, they're like taking them off the street before they get got. And yeah, so also it is a little bit intriguing that each chapter of the story is, like Mo said, from a different villain's perspective. Like I thought it was all going to be just playtime perspective. That's the first character you get, and I guess that's really the main character of the whole thing.
Right.
But then the next chapter is, what is it? Brain Tease's perspective, and that's where you get a little bit of his origin. So you find out more about these other characters and kind of how they got where they are, and it's just interesting. I think that added a little bit to the, finding out how these characters got where they are, added a little bit of a contrast to the main story that's going on.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, and it's interesting because, obviously the characters that are kind of playing the background, you have like the strong analogs for the like you said, the continuum, I think is what the name of the group is, which is this world's Justice League.
I also spent an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out who they were analogs for.
Oh, who the members of the continuum?
No, who all the characters are.
Oh,
obviously, like Brain Tease is like their Riddler, and
right.
Yeah, so every time a new character would show up, I'm like, who's that supposed to be?
But that was the thing where what I was going to say, the point I was going to make was that the characters in the background have very obvious analogs, and that's for a reason. But I felt like the main characters that we dealt with, the analogs weren't quite as spot on. And you're right, like Brain Tease definitely gives off a Riddler kind of vibe, but he's definitely is different because well, or maybe not. I mean, the way they manifest his power in the book is different than how Riddler manifests his thing. But at the end of the day,
I don't think they had a lawsuit on their hands with the similarities.
He's still talking about figuring out riddles and stuff. I know Snake, whatever Snake guy is, he's supposed to be Killer Croc.
Oh, is he?
That's the vibe I got.
I got Rhino.
That's interesting. See, and that's the thing. But this is the point I'm making, where it's like I definitely feel like the main characters, you kind of have like a little bit more wiggle room, because obviously, like you have oh man, what's the surgeon lady's name?
Scalpel.
Scalpel. Scalpel has a little bit of a night nurse kind of vibe to her or whatever, but she also kind of has like a little bit of like the whole femme fatale kind of thing going on as well. So it's like, you could totally do like, I'm trying to think of like, what's a DC femme fatale? Like whatchamacallit before she went bad? Batgirl. You like her, Jay. Yeah, Cassandra. What was her alias before?
Before Batgirl?
Yeah, like when she was bad.
Cassandra, she did Batgirl first, and then she was
wasn't Cassandra Cain a bad guy before she was Batgirl?
no.
Oh,
She
I'm
was
thinking
raised
of.
by a bad guy.
I'm sorry. Oh, wait. Which one's the mute one?
Cassandra.
Oh, okay.
But she wasn't a
So
bad guy.
I'm just mistaken then. I thought she was
Orphan?
fighting heroes before she
Orphan?
became. Huh?
You thinking of Orphan?
That's probably it's probably what I was
Well, I don't
thinking.
think she was bad as Orphan, right? She was just not wearing a bat costume.
That's bad. That's bad. But yeah, but like I feel like there's definitely like or like on the Marvel side, I feel like you almost get like Scalpel's almost like a little bit of Night Nurse and a little bit like Elektra. It's like like just like vibe wise or whatever. But like I thought it was really cool because it's like I feel like you can't just pin down those characters, and especially like where you talk about like said Playtime or Pigeon, the Pigeon dude. It's like yeah, but they are interesting characters in their own right, and yeah, like I like it's wild because like I really wonder what that collaborative process is like between Patton Oswalt and Jordan Bloom. Like where did the ideas come from? That would be interesting to hear that. The end. But I don't know, Jay, what did you think of Minor Threats?
I thought it was pretty good. Like fun. I like the characters.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it was fun.
How'd you feel about the art, Jay?
Oh, it was fine. I didn't have any real problems with it.
That's Jay's, like that's your ringing endorsement for Minor Threats. It was fine.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't like blow me away. I just had a fun time reading it, and I did like Playtime. Like I would read more of her.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just in that fun spot. Like I wasn't blown away. It does really feel like Millar Light.
And what makes it light as opposed to like Mo says plus? What makes it light to you as opposed to like on par?
I think I don't know. Like Millar just feels a lot girthier when you read it than this.
Like I can't say that you know like it does feel like the kind of story that he would tell, but it would be more intense. Like the emotional stakes would feel
like this actually felt for me more like Alan Moore light.
I could see, yeah, I could definitely see that. Like it's almost like a Millar story written by like Alan Moore, like because like I feel like if this was if Millar had written this story, everybody's reactions would be stronger to everything, and not necessarily in a whether that's good or bad. I don't, I can't. It's hard to say. I guess it would have to be in how it's executed, but it would feel like everyone's emotions would be turned up like 2 notches, you know. But yeah, I could definitely see where you're coming from with that, Mo. Could definitely see where you're coming from with that, Mo. Why do you feel like it was Millar plus? If or is that what Alan Moore is?
Well, it does feel like deconstructive of like just the like the interesting part isn't the Justice League. I say it in quotes, the continuum, but so that you get the idea that there's a heroes. It's more about the like it starts with being about the person. She
Right.
was a villain and she's just trying to be a fucking person. And she
Right.
can't. She's denied every opportunity, so she has to go. But now she has to do it her way. She's not a sidekick
Right.
anymore. So that's
Right.
the growth and the deconstructive of a sidekick. That gives Alan Moore vibes. The way the world is, and even like when they talk about like they fought a kaiju and because it wasn't a poor area, they just left it there and we just build houses.
Right.
So, like that
Yeah.
shit feels like Alan Moore shit,
Yeah.
Where and that's where I'm like, and for somebody that's writing a comic that's not a comic book writer but is a comic book fan, is successful in other mediums. It's like, dude, like I'm glad I read your fucking comics. Like, I've had the opportunity to talk to people that love comics but are successful in other mediums, like Scott Ian from Anthrax, and it's like you're gonna do good in this because you love comics, and that's it. Like Patton Oswalt did good in this because he does comics. Jordan Bloom did good in it because I assume he loved comics. I have no idea what he loves, but he knows story, and comics is a story. So and that's like, to me, like giving it, like calling it Alan Moore light is not an insult. It's actually
no.
Sometimes Alan Moore needs to chill the fuck out too, man.
Right. 100%.
It's like so I'm like calling it Alan Moore light is like, it's just, it's basically saying if you're a fan of Alan Moore's work, this is for you. This is, in the modern comic age, you don't get a lot of this. Like even when we talked about like I loved the was it Nightmare? What was the shit we did last week? The DC.
Oh, the night. Yeah. The Night Terrors.
Night Terrors. Yeah. I love that. But realistically, that's just an issue of Sandman that they rehashed and did in a universe that doesn't have a Sandman with superheroes. And that would have benefited from like a Patton Oswalt. If you're gonna rehash that, like you watch that episode, you watch the episode of Sandman with Dr. Destiny, right, Larry? On Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was all of what Night Terrors was, just with superheroes instead of people.
Right.
And in the comic for Sandman, it was actually both. Yeah.
Right.
And so it's like if the show would have done it like the comics, it would have been better. If the comics would have done it as a main event in the DC universe with Sandman in it, would have been better. This is as close as you can get, but still doing it with the modern sensibilities of what superhero comics are now. And it's still not that, as much as I enjoyed that, I enjoyed it with the caveat that this is what superhero comics are now. I'm choosing to enjoy something instead of criticizing something. And with Minor Threats, it's like, yeah, this is kind of like the underbelly of what you would do here. Like I know they did like the Ravager story and the Punchline story for Night Terrors, but this is like the villain's perspective of death in the family, of what the outcome would have been. But Batman didn't take this course of action, but it should have. Like even when Jason Todd comes back, it's like, why didn't you like try to kill him at least?
Right.
It's like everybody, so it's like this is where they let Batman do that, and then this is the reaction of what these group of villains has to deal with in that aftermath. The dude that could take down the Justice League is now wanting to kill all of you.
Yeah. Oz, man, how did you feel about the art there, man?
It was average. Like I mentioned earlier, Scalpel just bugged me every time she shows up. I guess that's the way she was supposed to be drawn and just didn't like it. Yeah, there's nothing other than that. There's nothing like really bad that I can point to. It's a little stylized for my taste, but it does the job. You know, there's some great looking stuff. There's some okay stuff. There's nothing, but there's nothing horrible either. So it's fine.
I think that I feel where you're coming from in the sense that the Hepburn's art, you know, it depending on what panel you're talking about, can be a lot better than others. But I think where it's consistent is in the storytelling. I think it does a real good job of actually conveying story like panel to panel.
I did think it was kind of cool when they flash back to like a villain's origins. The pages look yellowed, like it's old comic book you're reading. So little things like that I thought were cool. You know?
Yeah,
I think the art is a little bit different too.
It might be. I wouldn't be surprised.
Like it's still the same style, but I get like trying to look at it now. It looks like the line work is a little thicker, and you do something to the colors too to really give it that old comic look.
Yeah. And I definitely felt like, especially with I can't remember dude's name, but the pigeon guy, like when you get to his origin, like, you know, his stuff looks much more like, you know, your old school, like your golden age-ish or silver age-ish comic type stuff, because, you know, he was, when it was showing him when he's young, and obviously he's older than just about everybody else on the team, so it's a whole different thing. Yeah, man, like I think that another thing that's worth mentioning with these folks is that the world building that they do is definitely really worthwhile and worth like making note of. You already did that, Mo, when you mentioned the kaiju and how they decided to like just build around the kaiju, so you literally have apartments on the skull of a giant monster. You know, another thing is how they have the time anomaly thing, like in the middle of the city, and how people just like randomly like walk into it and disappear. And you know, like that I thought was like a really cool and interesting thing, just because, you know, it's the kind of thing where that kind of lasting type of you know, like ailment or landmark to a city is the kind of thing that that doesn't happen often in superhero comics. You know, it's like you kind of have what the city looks like, and you know, yeah, it might get destroyed or something, or a building might get destroyed, but then eventually it comes back up, you know, and then you get back to the status quo at some point, you know, which is a interesting kind of thing for comics. And you know, I'm not knocking it, because to some people that's part of why they love comic books, you know, like the fact that the good guys generally win, and you know that you have that status quo is what is the appeal of the genre to some people. But for people that, you know, like, hey, I mean, I've been reading comics for I don't know how many decades now. It's like, it's cool, the idea that, yeah, man, we got this time anomaly in the city now because there was this big thing that happened, and it's just like they had this fight and we weren't able to fix it.
I also like the explanation is that, well, it's going to be there for 1,000 years till we develop the technology that created it. We know what happened. Then maybe we could fix it.
Right. And yeah, that was very cool. And I'm like, I mean, like, I feel like, huh?
They read in and they're like, what language is he talking about? Oh, ancient Sumerian.
Right. And it was just like one of those things where it was just like, yeah, like if there were big superhero battles happening inside of a city periodically, like that kind of thing would probably happen. Like that would probably, and I feel like that was probably one of those things that, you know, Patton and Jordan probably just kind of tossed around together and, you know, decided to include. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, you know, and, you know, it played into the story to a degree, but at the same time, it kind of didn't, you know, like there was some, it felt like are just a part of the city, a part of the world, and so that's cool. So.
Another thing is like when we keep calling it like Alan Moore Light and Millar Plus, like I really just want to call it like Jeff Lemire, because of like that's like I've been reading Black Hammer and like Black Hammer Origin, and that's how a lot of that is, like feels like it's almost in the Black Hammer universe in a sense.
Yeah, I hear that. All right. Anything else we want to say about this before we decide to give it a rating? Okay, shoot, let's do it. Jay, what would you rate Minor Threats?
Well, I would give it a 4. It was fun.
I don't know, Jay. I'm not sure you convinced me that you had fun reading it.
No, I did.
Oh, okay. Now I'm convinced.
Just like how he loves being on the show.
Right, exactly. Just like he was happy to be on the show.
I am happy. I'm glad that works out.
All right. There it is. Oscore, what would you rate Minor Threats?
I'll probably go with a 5. It's a fun read. Definitely should check it out.
Damn. I'm trying to think of the last time you gave something a 5, Oz. Like, it's been a minute.
All the time. In fact, I give too many 5s. You know what? 4.5. You're right. Pat Oswalt hasn't been a comedian since he allegedly killed his wife.
Wait, what?
He didn't allegedly kill his wife.
They proved it?
No, he did it like
he did it to date that uglier chick. Comedian.
No, she died of an illness, and then he married another chick, and she's not a comedian. I think she solved a murder, not like a cold case. Like she's an investigative journalist.
She was in, I think, King of Queens or one of those type of shows.
He wasn't King of Queens.
No, she was. She's also in some stuff.
Yeah, but his second wife was like, I mean, she solved a murder.
Yeah.
Well, there it is.
Solved the wife's murder.
Like there was no murder.
Listen, Moses, what would you rate Minor Threats?
I don't like him talking about Patton Oswalt like this. Like he got enough shit for remarrying. It's a couple years.
He remarried her like a week later.
2 years. Hey, but again, like he had to come to grips with her death while she was dying of cancer.
Yeah, his new wife came to grips with her death.
I'm like, let the man grieve. Let the man grieve how he grieved. Like I only got, I found out
he's done grieving.
Again, it's not up to you.
Yeah,
it's my opinion. That is up to me.
So,
yeah.
So Minor Threats, Mo?
Yeah, it's a 5 out of 5. And there is the comic book came out last week, the Alternates #1, which is from the world of Minor Threats.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that came out last week.
Is that Patton Oswalt as well?
Patton Oswalt and Jordan Bloom as well, with Tess Fowler and I forget who else.
Oh, wow.
This new phone I got is acting weird. Tim Seeley, Christopher Mitten, Tess Fowler, Ian Herring, Nate Piekos, Patton Oswalt, Jordan Bloom.
Wait, what is it? Like an anthology or something? Because that's too many people.
It might be like 2 stories. I mean, Tess Fowler's an artist. Christopher Mitten, I think, writes. So it might be like 2 or 3 stories. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, let me see if I can read this article here.
I know.
Your old employer, Larry, comicbook.com.
I never worked for comicbook.com.
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
I'm like, don't you put that on me.
They call it a direct tie-in to Minor Threats. It's Oswalt and Bloom with writer Tim Seeley, artist Christopher Mitten, Tess Fowler, colors Ian Herring, letter in 8 goes. Alternate features covers by Scott Hepburn, variant covers by Seeley, Fabio Moon, Martin Simmons.
Oh, okay.
It focuses on a group of B-list superheroes who are attempting to reclaim their lives after being transported to a mirror reality for 5 years. Now they're back, and things aren't so easy. But things will get more complicated when the alternate reality starts to bleed over from a dangerous new street drug.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Wow. Okay. So cool. All right. Minor Threats. I liked it a lot. I think I'd give it 4.5. It's great. You should read it. And I'm excited.
What's that half a point? Like,
I mean, I feel like the art could have been a little bit better, and it's like the other thing is technically, it's like.
Well, no, go ahead.
Huh? No, because technically, I kind of saw the twist coming, and so I just no, it's real good. Like I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I'm excited to read more from that world, that universe. Like this, you telling me that book exists. This was it Replacements?
The Alternates.
Like that, I'm genuinely excited to read that. So but I think that there's room for improvement, and hey, this series might be it because we got a different artist, and so that might help, and maybe the story will be a little bit different because you have since you got Seeley in there as an actual, well, I won't say actual, but as a comic book guy that is more better versed than the other two.
He's a comic book writer.
Right, exactly. There you go. Right. It's so it might be a better book, and maybe those guys are just here's the story,
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like, for me, I felt the issues you had with the art, I thought I had, but the story itself actually elevated the art for me. So
100%.
So do you think it's enough to make up that half a point?
I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like the story is so good that I'm it's a 5. No. The story, and don't get me wrong, the story's real good. In fact, the story's great. It's just not so great. And again, I think if it had done something that genuinely surprised me, maybe I might have felt different about it, where I'm oh my God, I can't believe that this is where it went. But it's it's still really, I mean, 4.5. I'm just saying, for me, I'm
I love that she
put
I can't. The Jack in the Box punch glove gun in her mom's face. Yeah. It a 5 for me.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's and I think you're right. I think they're at some point they're gonna try to adapt this into a movie.
We also never mentioned, it's a little messed up that playtime was the sidekick to her mom.
Yeah,
right.
Who saw her kid had powers and decided to become a villain.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a whole, and Jay said that earlier, where it's that's very interesting in and of itself.
And her mom is a tiny old lady, she's a grandma, tiny old grandma, and it's still bitch, you planned this whole shit out and didn't give me a call. What the hell wrong with you?
Right.
Hey, she threatens him you better save my fucking daughter. I'm gonna fuck you motherfuckers up.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great character. It's gonna be great in the movie.
Yeah, 100%.
I can already see TJ Miller playing her.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, just
all right.
Thank you to Hecht and Tiger Claw for the chat stuff.
Yes.
Oh, we have news?
Oh, comic news. No.
Well, not like that, but
Jay's crying because he's thinking about the John Luke episodes.
Jay, you gonna play everything but the outro?
Did I play more than one? I thought I just played one.
You played the news music,
and then
right.
No, we're doing
news.
and then comic.
Oh, are we doing news? Is that okay. I didn't realize. Look, you didn't say anything to me about news, so I didn't know we were doing news. I thought we were trying to.
We're trying to do
Go
a type 210.
Look, we weren't going to do news, but then I accidentally hit the news button.
Okay, what's the news?
Fables is now in the public domain. Yes.
Fan fiction time.
Hey, yeah, pretty much. So the creator in DC had a little falling out. He says they're not really sticking to the letter or the spirit of the contract, and so he's just going to throw everything in the public domain, and y'all can do what you want. So
That's wild.
Yeah.
Damn right, I'm going to do what I want. What's Fable?
And Mike Carey, right? Is Mike Carey?
No,
No.
Wait, you know what? It's whatchamacallit, isn't it?
Mark Guggenheim?
What's this fool's name?
Willingham?
Willingham, right?
Willingham.
Yeah, I think so.
So what does that mean for like so if he puts in the public domain, does that mean like somebody else could
You could write and publish a Fable story.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
like Cinderella, like we can do.
I mean, all those characters were already in the public domain. Which is why you Fables.
But like
but those
using them like Cinderella as like a 007 type or a Russian operative, like Winter Soldier, like we could do that. You know, we could do her if some Red Room. You know.
So like, say if Telltale decides to make another game, does that mean they don't have to pay anybody? They get to keep all those profits?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. DC is trying to insist that it isn't, but it I think the since the contract's not being honored, like they're in breach, and he could do whatever he wants.
Well, look, I'm sure that there'll be legal battles to be fought, but that would be really interesting because I wonder if
part of it, Jay. Like we gotta brainstorm and do a Cinderella, and I'll throw in. We'll throw in some cryptozoonic animals, maybe some coronavirus shit in there.
Wait, what now? Y'all doing post-apocalyptic?
Well, no.
Cinderella
Like, just they're trying to make a virus that will kill Fables, like starting by a company of direct citizenship. It's trying to destroy the Fables, and DC is trying to destroy the Fables, and it's up to Cinderella and like the Wolfman. I mean the Sasquatch and the Chupacabra to like really put them down. Take on DC.
Yeah, it's not DC. It's Investigative Stories. IS.
No, we could call it DC. Because it's the world of humans trying to keep them down. Direct citizenship, direct from this world.
Direct citizenship. All right.
Imagine if I actually put my mind to this shit, Larry.
Did y'all talk about the Aquaman trailer last week?
No, but I saw it and it looks fucking amazing. Like he's gonna have a hook at the end of it. I know it, or he better.
He rode a seahorse.
I don't care about that. Like I seen comic book art where he rides a seahorse. It looks amazing.
Yeah, no.
I'm just happy it ain't fucking sharks with lasers on them for $1 billion. Yeah,
that's fair. Jay, give me some final thoughts, man.
New Avatar game coming out in like 2 days. I'm looking forward to that.
Looks like it might be fun. Yeah. Oscore, final thoughts.
I'm gonna go watch Aquaman.
When's it come out?
December 20th.
Okay, I got you. to get in shape.
Like the trailer looked cool, but trailers always look cool.
Yeah, but even like the Black Manta shit looked tight. Like everything looked better than everything I saw in the first movie. Like, and I watched the good part of the first movie, the first 20 minutes, and so this looks way like leagues better than
Yeah, but then they do stupid stuff like he's got the suit hanging out to dry, and I'm like, it's meant to be.
I don't care about that shit. This is funny random Easter egg shit. Like I like Adventure Time. That's fine. But like just the shit with Black Manta like coming like this, like him talking to his dad and saying all that shit. Like the shit looks good. The design looks better. Like the design of Atlantis, the ocean shit, and Black Manta like.
All right, so Mo might watch this one.
Oh, dude, I'm not saying I'm definitely gonna watch it. What I'm telling you is I might love it. Like, so it's like, be surprised if that doesn't happen. Because I'm like, I think I'm in. Like, 5 out of 5 now just from the trailer. I love that. I don't know. Did you guys see the trailer? I didn't. I was putting it on the chat. I didn't watch it. I was watching a YouTube video, one of my favorite YouTubers, Camera Conspiracies, link up here. And he, and then, he's a greedy bastard, so he's monetized. And the trailer came on, and I didn't click it. I didn't click after the 5 seconds. I was enthralled in it. I was watching it, and I'm like captivated, submerged in it. And I'm like, man, this movie looks fucking good.
Okay. I watched it.
And then I hit, back to camera.
All right. Is that your final thought, Mo, or do you have a...
Yeah, I take that as my final thought. Also, like, subscribe, hit the bell. We're still working on shit. I filmed some stuff that I still need to edit, but Oz put a great fucking unboxing of a custom-made statue.
Really? You guys liked it? I mean,
it was really good.
It was the best thing I've ever done.
Well, the thing is, it looked great. Like, even the whole process of it, like, you bought a 3D printed thing, you had it painted. Like, it's different than just buying something done.
Exactly.
It's good. I liked how it came out. I liked how it looked. I've watched videos of other people doing their version of it or their statues of it. It didn't look as good as the one you did. The dude that actually designed it liked your video too and said you did a good job. The paint job came out better than what he had imagined, and so it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, man, it was a good video.
I did not know all of that. I should really follow our channel.
I know. I was like, wow.
The digital, because I tagged the digital sculptor guy on Instagram, and he's like, "Oh man, great job! Like that, the paint looks great." Like, I'm like, "Hey, you laid the foundation. We just painted it."
Right.
Yeah. So,
right.
Like, I wish you would have mentioned the painter too.
I wanted to, but I don't have his permission.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want to throw his name out there like that.
Okay, but realistically, I mean, he might. What was he? He's a
if you
senior manager at some corporation, and he's like, you could make money painting these motherfuckers and smoke weed all day. Because that shit looks fucking great.
Yeah, he's really talented. I don't know if you really want to know who did it, send us a message and I'll let you know. Because I just can't.
Yeah, just private.
I can't say it publicly because I don't have his permission.
There it is. So yeah, for the entire Fantastic Forum, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We do really, truly appreciate you. Keep us in the loop. Let us know what it is that you want to hear about because we'll talk about it. We're the Fantastic Forum. Good night.